Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, second grade scientists. Mrs. O'Leary here once again with an edition of Habitats from Life Science. I thought today we would explore one of the habitats that's near my house that you may not have near your house. So next to me, we have a pond. It's about a minute drive from my home. So I thought we'd explore. Are you ready to see what kind of animals and plants, insects live in this habitat? Come on, let's go. In addition to this pond, which isn't very big, but it does support a lot of life in this habitat, we also see a stream that runs into this pond. I wonder what kind of animals we might be able to find in this stream. What do you predict? I think I found a spot where we might be able to see some of the natural wildlife that live in this area. If we zoom in closely, we might just be able to see them. Oh, they're quick. Do you see the fish? These are pretty small fish, and they live in this part of the creek because they like the moving water. There's places for protection, and there's lots and lots of things for them to eat, like insects that fall on the top of the water. If I move to this part of the stream, you can see fish zooming by. Did you spot them? They blend in with their natural habitat so that predators don't see them from above and snatch them out of the water. Walk from the stream to the larger part of the pond and see what kind of animals, plants, and insects we can find living there. These plants you may have heard of before. They're called cattails. And they only live near ponds and bays, and sometimes rivers. Why do you think that they only live here instead of places like out in the field? What can they get here in this habitat that they can't get out there? Look closely. What do you see underneath the surface of the water? You see plants. These plants live underneath of the water because they can't grow on land. They need more water to survive than, say, these plants or the grass under my feet. Let's take a walk down to the edge and see if we can spot any more wildlife. If we look closely, we may just see some larger fish. They're a little bit harder to spot because of the way the sun is shining on top of the water. Hopefully, we'll see one swim by. But I just spotted some larger fish. Can you see it? These larger fish live out in the deeper parts of the water, where the smaller fish live in the creek. The smaller fish live in the creek because of these larger fish out in the deeper waters. You see, fish eat other fish. They eat insects, and some of them even eat the algae that grows around them. Can you spot any of the insects flying around? Think about the sounds that you hear, besides the cars. This isn't their natural habitat. Something that we shouldn't see in any environment or habitat is litter. These plastic bags here can be very dangerous for the wildlife that lives here. If an animal eats them, it can be harmful. And sometimes animals get caught up in these bags too and can't get themselves free. Now that we're on the other side of the pond, let's walk down this bank, see if we can spot some of the wildlife that might live among these flowers. Take a look very closely. I'm not going to get any closer. Do you see the snake tail? I'm not sure where its head is, so I think it's best to stay a little farther away. Snakes like this live in ponds like this and around ponds like this because they can get everything that they need to survive in their natural habitat. You can find snakes everywhere, in the woods, in the deserts, in ponds, in streams, and believe it or not, even in some oceans. But not every kind of snake can survive in every kind of habitat. This particular snake, although I don't know its name just yet, wouldn't be able to survive if we dropped it off in the middle of the desert. Walking around for several minutes trying to get some video of a frog, and if you look right below my feet, although I could hear them around me, I couldn't spot one until now. In just a moment, I'll take you very close to the water so that you can see the tadpoles that live all around the edges of this pond. There are thousands of them, and frogs just like this lay their eggs in places like this because, once again, this habitat provides everything that these animals will need. Can you see them swimming around? Some of them are very still, and others are moving very quickly. But if you look closely, you can see the tadpoles. Tadpoles are very delicate creatures, so you won't find them in the stream, but you will find them where the water is still and where there's lots of plants growing on the edge. These plants help keep them safe, and it keeps the water from moving too quickly. This water is nice and still. It's a nice, relaxing habitat for these baby tadpoles. And soon, if they aren't eaten by predators, they'll grow into frogs and toads. Just like the one right below my feet. I couldn't believe that I didn't spot him until I was about to walk away. Good thing I didn't move, I'd have scared him. These tadpoles, just like the frog, get everything that they need from their environment or habitat. In this habitat, they get algae from the bottom and from the plants. One of the things that these tadpoles do is to help keep the algae from growing too much. I think I hear Mommy Frog or Daddy Frog right there in these plants. Animals in this habitat all serve a role. Just like the tadpoles that clean the bottom, you also find snails that clean algae, frogs that feed snakes, small fish that feed larger fish, and insects that feed small and large fish. The plants that live along the edge help to keep the water clean by using the nutrients that plants need, but that might be too poisonous for fish. Think about the sounds that you can hear here that you couldn't hear as well over by the stream. Although you can still hear the cars, and this isn't their natural habitat, you hear frogs. Why do you think you can hear them here on this side, but not all the way over there where the stream was? In addition to the tadpoles, there's also teeny tiny fish that live in the still waters of the edge of the pond. Just like the tadpoles, they get protection from all of the plants growing around them. The animals, insects, and plants that live in this habitat are different than animals and plants and insects that live in the woods right behind me. Although you might be able to find that same snake back here in the woods, which, along with the fact that there's no trail going back there, is one of the reasons that I think I'll steer clear of the woods. But the plants that grow in the woods have different needs, and they depend on their environment in order to have those needs fulfilled or met. Although we really didn't talk about many of the land animals, aside from the frogs, that live around this pond, we do have things like red-winged blackbirds. And I wish that I had turned the camera on just a moment before so that you could see those beautiful spots on that bird's wings. There are many animals that live in this habitat that we didn't get a chance to see. For example, the chipmunk that I saw just a moment ago. Although really, we should say that his habitat is the woods because he doesn't live in the pond. We looked at two habitats today. We looked at the habitat around the pond and the habitat in the pond. Oh, there he goes. Bye, Mr. Red-winged Blackbird. There are a lot of plants that live around this pond. Like this oak tree. You can tell the oak tree because there's acorns right underneath of it and growing from it, as well as the shape of the leaves. And the maple tree way over there in the distance. But I hoped you enjoyed our trip to this habitat with me today. I hope that you enjoy seeing my face. I know that I miss yours, boys and girls. I hope that you're doing well and staying safe. And I know that you're looking forward to summer and enjoying this beautiful weather. I'll talk to you soon and next week for another edition of Life Science.